Hi guys, and thank you for watching This Old Thing. Today I want to talk to you about Brownie cameras. Today there's a lot of talk about how Instagram and the iPhone and more readily accessible cheap cameras have been changing the world as we see it, because everyone, even kids, can go around and take pictures very easily and share them with everyone. The first Kodak Brownie camera came out in 1900 and its price was only $1. So the Brownie camera is sort of like the original iPhone camera or the original Instagram app, because it was so cheap and it was so easy to use, and this had never been seen before. Before this time, getting your picture taken was something that was very expensive and elaborate, and the only people who really had cameras were professional photographers. So getting your picture taken was something that you might never do, or you might only do once in your life or for special occasions. This is why in Victorian times we see a lot of really weird and fascinating photographs called memento mori, which were photographs that were taken after someone had already died, and the bodies were usually propped up and they had makeup on and they're made to look like they're living, because a lot of times when people didn't have their photograph taken for their whole life, their family members, if they passed away suddenly or if they were a child, they would definitely want to remember them, so they would take pictures of them while they were dead. It was called the Brownie because there was a very popular series of cartoons by an artist called Palmer Cox, who drew these little brownie characters. They're like little sprites kind of, or fairies, but they sometimes get into trouble. And so those were used sort of like SpongeBob is used to sell cereal or fruit snacks or whatever we have today. Those were used to advertise the Brownie camera. That emphasized how simple it was to use the camera, that there was a children's character that it was named after and that it was being used to advertise it. So it attracted kids, and that sort of gave it even more of a reputation that it was very simple to use. At the price of $1, it was very affordable, and it was also easy to load and to deal with the film. So you didn't need to have your own dark room or anything like that. It just made everything much more simpler for the photographer and made everyone who purchased it feel like they could take really quality photos without knowing too much about it. So it really was the very first point and shoot camera. And with this came the evolution of the snapshot. Because before this, as I said, taking pictures, when you hire somebody to take your picture, you're all going to be sitting there and wearing your Victorian outfits and very proper. And that's when you see people oftentimes aren't smiling. Having such thing as a snapshot was a huge development, because just taking pictures of everyday life and not having it be the way that you're trying to present it at a professional shoot allows us to have some really interesting looks into what the past was like. The camera was produced from 1900 until I believe 1963. It was very inexpensive throughout that whole time. In 1900 it was $1, and in 1920, which is what model this camera is, it was about $3. So there are still a lot of them, and you can get them pretty inexpensively, in between like $10 to $40, and you can mess around with them and experience the Brownie for yourself. This camera belongs to James, and he bought it from a friend of his. I think it was about $20. This is a number 2A Brownie model, and it is from 1920. There's still a lot of interest in these cameras today, so I'll post some links below for you guys of some great websites of photographers that are doing some interesting things with Brownies. And as soon as James can adapt this camera so that it'll take film, because they don't make the type of film that originally fits with it, then we're going to start taking some photos with it and see what we can get. I'm really excited to share those with you guys. Smile, guys! My dress is from On the Trashy Side, which is a Sarasota-based vintage reproduction style clothing company. They specialize in clothes that are vintage-like or maybe more modern but with takes on vintage. I've met the designer, Shannon, and she pays really close attention to detail, so that's why I love their clothes so much. Like this dress, I like how it's really form-fitting and it has these princess seams right here, so it's kind of like a corset. So it's really tight and slinky, but the fabric that she uses has a lot of stretch in it, so you don't feel like you can't move or you can't eat dinner or anything like that. My gloves are from some costume store, I'm not sure where, but they're very terrible, so don't buy them because they're coming apart everywhere. Usually stores like Claire's or formal places will have gloves that are made more quality if you just need to pick some up. The best place I've seen is actually Pinup Girl Clothing online. They have a lot of really good different length glove options. Click on the link right here for my nail tutorial for this nail look. I used a different color this time. I used OPI Samoan Sands for the nude, and the black part is Revlon Lunar. I also did a hair tutorial of exactly how I got this hair look, so click it if you want to watch.